So, would you like to introduce yourself first?
Yeah, hi, I'm Paul Bukowski, aka DJ Bullet, and I've been DJing for probably 15 years.
So how did you first start off becoming a DJ?
A long time ago, a friend of mine owned a club, and way back, when I was very young, me and a few friends decided that we were going to be DJs, set the world on fire. So we went out, none of us had any experience in being DJs. We went and bought some Technics 1210s, some vinyl turntables, and a mixer, and between us, clattered our way through learning how to mix in my friend's bedroom, much to the disgust of his parents. And a few years later, we put on a club night somewhere, which was not very well received, if I'm honest. And then for a long time, I didn't DJ. And then, as I say, moving forward, probably 10 years, I guess, a friend of mine bought a club, and I used to just go there and sort of see him and stuff, and they had CDJs there, which was obviously the new technology back then. And so I wanted to see how they worked against vinyl. So I just used to sort of go there, and whenever I used to say hello to him, used to have a mess around before the place opened, and it kind of reinvigorated my passion for DJing. So I then went out and bought some CDJs, taught myself like the finer arts with CDJs against vinyl. Still love vinyl, but obviously CDJs made it a little bit easier to carry a lot of music around. And then there was my hometown in Devon, very small town, usual like kind of crappy little club that reopened. They needed a DJ. My friend said, well, look, you know, my buddies learned how to DJ again, you know, got back into it, give him a shot. So I did one night, they liked it, that turned into one night a month, and that turned into one night a week, and then that turned into a residency, and, you know, kind of moving forward all of these years, here I am. So it's kind of, you know, very small beginnings, and it just organically grew, just slowly built up through me being passionate about music, and wanting to know the finer art of putting two songs together to, you know, and I think what people need to realise is that DJing is not necessarily about mixing two songs together. It's actually about reading an audience and how they react. So DJing is probably less than 50% of a DJ's skill. The skill is actually in being able to entertain a crowd and hold their attention through different genres of music, because obviously, you know, you can play one type of music all night to a specific audience, but if you play in a nightclub and you have to play to all different types of people and accommodate the different footfall in the club, you need to go through lots of different genres of music and change the tempo, and that's where the skill is in holding people who don't necessarily like that type of music, but still making them dance and thinking that they like it and enjoying their night. So that's actually where the skill lies, but obviously you do need to be able to mix as well.
So what's your favourite event that you've ever DJ'd at?
It's really hard. So obviously now I DJ at the Formula One. So that entails me going to every race and doing lots of events for various people. So currently where I'm being interviewed at Silverstone, so the team that I DJ for, which is Racing Point, this is their home race. So there's always a great home crowd here. It's the biggest crowd of the year for me. But obviously when we're in Monaco and Abu Dhabi and you're DJing on a super yacht in beautiful conditions, you know, to beautiful people, it's a completely different dynamic, but it's equally as enjoyable, but for a completely different reason. So I guess every gig can be the best gig or the worst gig in the world, depending on how the audience receive you, or how you feel you've done. You know, some nights you'll come off stage and you'll feel that you've not really fulfilled your potential, but everybody says they loved it. Where, you know, there's a balance between how you view it and how the crowd view it. But if everybody's happy at the end of the night, then it's a good night, and it doesn't need to be a very glamorous location. You know, you can have a great gig in your friend's back garden at his local barbecue, as long as everybody enjoys it. It's great, you know.
How did you actually get into DJing at Formula One events?
So I'm an ambassador and a DJ for Skullcandy headphones. and 5 or 6 years ago, Skullcandy sponsored the team, which was then Force India, and we started doing some collaboration events as Force India at the time. They, the Formula One teams do a lot of stuff with their partners, and obviously Skullcandy was one of their partners at the time. So we started doing collaborations and various bits and bobs together, and then when that deal finished, it wasn't renewed, but because of the relationship that I built with the team, they asked me if I could stay on as their DJ. So I still do work for Skullcandy, and I still do work for the team, and obviously the team's now changed from Force India to Sport Pesa Racing Point, and the relationship continues, so it's great. I get to work for both, so it's fantastic.
That
really
is amazing. Is there any downs about being a DJ, any difficulties that you face?
So I guess, from my point of view, going to every race is a lot of travelling, and you do spend a lot of time in airports, a lot of time in hotels. So, and I do realise that I don't expect anybody's sympathy for that, because what I do is fairly rock and roll, and I honestly, there are people who work hard for a living, and work long hours in conditions that are a lot worse than the conditions that I work in. So I don't expect anybody's sympathy, but you do spend a lot of time away from home. So there's, you can't, you miss the simple things, and as stupid as it is, things like being able to cut your grass, or, go and visit your mum or your brother, or, stuff like that, and I miss my wife, so it's always hard being away from her. She doesn't travel too much with me because she's so busy with work. So exactly. So it's okay. And also, I guess so one of the biggest downsides to it is that you're always being pushed by the next generation of DJs. So, and they're always willing to undercut you. So, you spend all these years building up a bank of clients, and and the agents that you work for are always sort of pushing for good money, because after all, I do love what I do, but it is my job. I do have a mortgage to pay and bills to pay. So there is a financial implication to what I do, and needs must. You have bills to pay. So if there's a guy sort of chomping at my heels who's willing to do it for half the price that I do, because he still lives at home with his mum and he doesn't have a mortgage to pay or whatever, or he's hungry and he wants some exposure, there's always that. You always feel that your price is being driven down, but I guess that's just the world that we live in, and you just have to deal with that and just make sure that the gigs that you have are gigs that people want you to come back to. And if they want you to come back and they invite you back, hopefully they'll still want to pay your invoice.
That's a good thing. So what is your favourite genre of music to include within your sets? Or do you not have one?
I have to play, because of the events that I play at, I have to play quite a diverse range of music. And when I'm not at the Formula One, at the weeks between the races, I just DJ commercially in England and into Europe sometimes. So I guess in a commercial nightclub, you play commercial music. I will absolutely not play cheese. So you're never going to get any stuff. But my heart is in house music, sort of so tech house music, stuff with a really good bass line, just stuff that makes you want to dance. Because I think I got into DJing because I love music, and everybody has a type of music that, without you realising, it makes your feet want to tap. And so house music is the music that gets me wanting to move. So that's where I am. And I think that at the moment, there's we're into a real rich seam of house music, and house music is making its way into the commercial scene. So and there's a lot of disco coming back as well, which so you've got things like Purple Disco Machine. They're smashing it at the moment, with a disco flavour, and they're putting some old samples in. And that really helps as well, because you can play a house tune that some older people in the audience will recognise from the sample that's in it, and so it almost ticks two boxes at once. So it's at the moment, house music's very strong, so that makes me very happy.
If you could perform anywhere in the world that you haven't yet, where would you want to?
I guess the obvious answer to that would be a super club, maybe a Schweier or somewhere in Ibiza. But because I travel the world and I play a lot of, I'm very fortunate in what I do. I get to play in some great venues, and I get to play to a lot of people. But I guess, I mean, somewhere like Tomorrowland, where you're playing to like 250,000 people, would be incredible, you know, or any of these huge festivals, you know. I mean, you'd probably never see a DJ there, but the main stage at Glastonbury would be pretty cool if ever they had a DJ there. But unfortunately, that's in my wildest dreams to probably play either of those places, because, you know, they are the reserve of like the guys who are flying around the world in private jets and earning millions of pounds. You know what I mean? You don't see the likes of me there. I might get to sweep the stage after they've performed, but that's about it, really. But that would be cool. That would be
amazing. So my last question is, do you have any advice for anyone who may want to go into a career of DJing?
Keep at it. You know, make sure that you learn your trade, I guess. You know, with the software that's available now and the time that people are willing to spend with it, you know, anybody can learn how to mix. But as I said earlier, mixing's only a very, very small part of what makes a DJ somebody that people want to listen to. You know, you can buy software now which will mix for you. You don't need to necessarily have the skills to mix vinylly like some of the turntablists, the great turntablists, you know, that history has seen. But so anyone can be a DJ because of technology. Not everybody can read a crowd or entertain people, and that's where they need to focus. So almost like School of Hard Knocks, really. You know, get yourself a slot in like a dirty local club where you're right next to the people, where the people can almost touch you, because those people will come at you. If you don't entertain them, they'll come at you like baying wolves, and they will batter you into submission. And so, but also, you know, listen to your audience. You know, years and years ago, DJs used to have the ability to educate people as to what music was available. These days, it's the other way around, because everybody has access to Spotify, everybody has access to every piece of music, all of the different formats that you can get music from. Everybody has the ability to get every piece of music. I can't get anything that anybody in the world can't get. And so, you know, listen to your audience, because they will tell you what's current and what is the next big thing. So, you know, don't be a DJ that sort of palms off people's requests, and, you know, don't be too much of a prima donna or a princess about it. You know, listen to your audience, react to it. It might not be right for the venue that you're in at the moment, but you can always take it to the next one. And also, I think probably the greatest tip that I would say would be know your value. You know, obviously I mention paying bills and stuff, but sometimes it's about the experience. Like the very first time I was ever invited to go and DJ on a super yacht in Monaco, I did it for free. I said, look, you pay my airline ticket and put me up in a hotel. I'll do the gig for free. And you know, that was because my value in that was the experience of going and doing it, and that's led on to several more things. And you know, and you need to take baby steps, knowing your value and knowing where to start, and not trying to sort of, you know, grind it out. Don't try and be, you know, don't try and be David Guetta or one of these like super DJs overnight, because what you don't forget is, what you need to remember is that all of these guys treaded the boards. You know, they did it like David Guetta. I mean, you know, he's as old as the hills, but he's, you know, he did all of the clubs in Paris. He did all of the small gigs. He worked his magic, you know, and it wasn't until, you know, probably 20 years into his career that he hit the absolute big time. You know, Calvin Harris, you know, he was DJing in clubs while he was still working in a supermarket. You know, and that's quite a famously documented story. But, you know, just grind it out. You know, if you're passionate enough about it, you'll get there in the end. So don't think it's going to happen overnight, because that happens to very, very few people. If it does happen overnight, then all credit to you. Enjoy the private jet. But if it doesn't happen overnight, you know, just keep pushing away at it, because it's driven by passion. You know, it's a job that you enjoy. It's never a chore. So just let your passion drive it, and just any opportunity that you see. If you see an opportunity that you feel is tiny, make it into a large one, and just enjoy the ride. Basically, you know, it's not a career that you can last forever, because obviously nobody wants to see their granddad on stage entertaining them. So just enjoy every moment of it while it lasts, because you never know when it's going to be your last gig.
Well, thank you very much for doing this interview with me.
My pleasure.